Before the mighty Titans carved up the cosmos, before Zeus hurled thunderbolts from Olympus, there was darkness, there was night. Not just the absence of light, but a being, a power immense, ancient, and utterly fundamental. She is Nyx, the Greek goddess of night, a primordial entity born from the very beginning of everything. Few dared to cross her. Even fewer truly understood her power. Forget the squabbling Olympians for a moment. We're diving deep into the shadows where the universe began to uncover the story of one of its oldest and most formidable forces. A goddess so intimidating, even the king of the gods held his fury in check. Stay with us, because the night holds more secrets than you can imagine. So, who was Nyx? To grasp her significance, we need to rewind, way back. Before time as we know it, there was only chaos, a vast, empty, formless void. From this primordial emptiness spontaneously emerged the first beings. Among them, Gaia, the earth, Tartarus, the deepest abyss, Eros, desire, Erebus, darkness, and our focus, Nyx, night. Think about that. She wasn't born from other gods. She was one of the first fundamental realities. Night wasn't just a time of day. It was a powerful, conscious entity present at creation's dawn. Her very essence was the night itself, enveloping, mysterious, concealing, and regenerating. She represented the shadows where secrets hide, the quiet that allows rest, but also the unknown dangers lurking beyond the light. Nyx often dwelled in the gloomy depths of Tartarus, the underworld's basement, or at the very edges of the known cosmos. A fitting domain for such an enigmatic figure. Unlike the later, more human-like Olympian gods, constantly meddling in mortal affairs, Nyx remained largely aloof. Her power wasn't flashy. It was inherent, pervasive. She didn't need temples on every hilltop because her domain arrived inevitably every single day, covering the entire world. Nyx found a partner in her brother, Erebus, the personification of deep darkness and shadow. Together, darkness and night, they conceived children representing the brighter aspects emerging from shadow. Aether, the pure upper air breathed by the gods, and Hemera, the day itself. It's a fascinating concept. The brightest light and the day were born directly from absolute darkness and night. It shows the Greek understanding of cosmic balance. Light emerges from dark. Day follows night in an eternal cycle established by these first beings. But Nyx's power of creation didn't require a partner, and this is where her true, terrifying influence becomes clear. Alone through parthenogenesis, conceiving without a male counterpart, she unleashed a brood of powerful, often fearsome forces upon the cosmos. These weren't just minor spirits, they were fundamental aspects of existence itself. Consider the beings she birthed single-handedly. From her darkness emerged Thanatos, death itself. Not violent death, but the quiet, inevitable finality awaiting everyone. Beside him stood his twin brother, Hypnos, sleep, essential yet perilous, a nightly surrender. These two alone show Nyx's dominion over life's most profound transitions. Crucially, Nyx alone bore the Moirai, the three fates. Clotho spinning the thread of life, Lachesis measuring it, and Atropos cutting it. Think of the implication. Night, the primordial darkness, is the source of destiny itself. The fate of every god and mortal originates from her shadow. She bore Nemesis, the inescapable goddess of retribution, the force ensuring that hubris, arrogance against the divine order, met its deserved punishment. No one could escape her righteous fury. And she birthed Eris, the goddess of strife and discord. It was Eris's golden apple, tossed among goddesses, that ignited the rivalry, leading directly to the decade-long Trojan War. A world-altering conflict sparked by a child of night. Her offspring also included the chilling whispers of Moros, impending doom, and Oises, misery and woe, embodying life's hardships. She spawned Apate, deceit, and the Oniroi, dreams, who carried illusions and nightmares from the depths. Even Geras, old age, stemmed from her. This chilling roster reveals Nyx's vast, indirect dominion. She populated the universe not just with night, but with destiny, death, sleep, dreams, retribution, strife, misery, and doom. These children were the mechanisms by which the cosmos operated, the forces that governed existence. They maintained balance, punished transgression, and guided life from beginning to end, all originating from primal night. No wonder she commanded such profound respect, bordering on fear. If you're enjoying this journey into primordial darkness, hitting that like button tremendously helps to support the channel. Want to support us even more? Drop a comment and tell us who's your favorite child of Nyx, and why do they capture your imagination? Back to Nyx. While Nyx rarely steps onto the main stage in myths, one famous incident perfectly illustrates the awe she commanded. It comes from Homer's Iliad. The goddess Hera, determined to aid the Greeks at Troy against Zeus's decree, needed the king of gods neutralized. Her plan required Hypnos, the god of sleep. She sought him out, demanding his service. But the very thought sent shivers through Hypnos. He knew Hera's schemes, and he vividly remembered the last time he dared to use his powers on Zeus at her request. The memory was paralyzing. Long ago, after Heracles had sacked the city of Troy, Hera had induced Hypnos to lull Zeus into slumber. She wanted to unleash savage storms against the hero. When Zeus awoke and discovered the deception, his fury was unlike anything Hypnos had ever witnessed. The king of gods had erupted. He didn't just command, he raged, tearing through Olympus like a storm, bellowing for the one who had tricked him. Gods were flung aside as Zeus hunted for the terrified god of sleep. Hypnos knew Zeus's intent, not merely punishment, but annihilation. He envisioned himself seized, dragged to the edge of the heavens, and hurled into the churning abyss of the sea, lost forever. There was only one sanctuary, one power potentially greater than Zeus's wrath. In utter desperation, Hypnos fled, not to another Olympian, not to the depths of the earth, but to the source of his own being, his mother Nyx. He reached her shadowy chariot, seeking refuge under the protection of primordial night itself. Zeus, in his relentless pursuit, tracked Hypnos to the very threshold of Nyx's domain. He found his quarry, trembling under his mother's protective aura. The king of gods stood poised, thunderbolts lightly crackling in his grasp, his rage demanding vengeance. Yet he hesitated. He recognized the ancient power before him. To strike Hypnos there meant violating the sanctity of Nyx, incurring the displeasure of a being far older and more fundamental than himself. The air crackled with tension. Zeus's immense fury warred with an equally immense caution, a deep-seated dread of provoking the goddess of night. In that critical moment, caution won. Zeus, ruler of Olympus, master of the thunderbolt, stopped. He deliberately checked his anger, turned away, and left Hypnos unharmed. Not out of mercy, but out of fear and respect for Nyx. He simply dared not risk the consequences of offending swift, ancient night. Let that sink in. This singular event reveals Nyx's staggering position. Her power, though rarely displayed, was so profound. Even the king of the gods chose restraint over retribution when faced with the prospect of her displeasure. In some later philosophical and mystery traditions, like Orphism, Nyx's role was elevated even further. Some Orphic hymns depict her as the very first principle, existing even before chaos, perhaps alongside Kronos, time. In these versions, she's the ultimate source from which everything else unfolds, a cosmic womb holding all potential. While not the mainstream view found in Homer or Hesiod, it shows how thinkers grappled with the universe's origins. They saw night as something profoundly fundamental. Visually, Nyx was often depicted as a majestic, shadowy figure, sometimes winged. She was driving a dark chariot across the sky, often veiled or shrouded in mist. She might be shown holding her twin sons, Hypnos and Thanatos. Unlike the Olympians, actual temples dedicated solely to Nyx were rare. You didn't typically pray to night for specific favors in the same way you might pray to Athena for wisdom or Poseidon for safe seas. She was too vast, too primordial. Her presence was simply an accepted, inescapable part of reality. Her worship was perhaps less about specific rituals and more about acknowledging the profound power and mystery she represented. This included the cycle of darkness and light, and the fundamental forces, fate, sleep, death, born from her. Her power wasn't about direct intervention, but about the unavoidable realities she embodied and birthed. She was the darkness that birthed light, the night that mothered day, the source of sleep, dreams, death, and destiny. Even the king of the gods respected her domain and her wrath. She remains one of mythology's most compelling and enigmatic figures, a reminder of the primal forces that existed long before the gods we know best, forces that continue to shape our world every time the sun descends and darkness takes hold. Her children walk among us still, in sleep, in dreams, in the finality of fate. Nyx endures,